Good morning, everyone. Alex here. Welcome to another live stream from a pretty overcast UK. Clocks went forward here yesterday, so yeah, it's been a bit of a time shift overnight. This morning I'm kind of getting to grips with what I'm going to be doing the next few weeks, probably in April. I've got these tracks in draft in my automatic music machine. That's a Mike Monday thing, and I'm pretty sure I want to finish. Essentially, I think I've this can be the benefit of taking a few days, a few weeks away from a track or from tracks, is that you kind of get some clarity and perspective on them. Those I definitely want to they feel like they occupy a similar world, and I'd like to release those or put them out as something, or send them off to people. These two, yeah, I'm not so sure about those, so I'll probably just leave those there. I'll probably leave these in here, Discover, and just the idea of this point is of this column is that they're kind of still really malleable as creative pieces, and you can, they don't necessarily know what they are. So I'll probably just leave those there. I haven't written anything for a while because I'm kind of playing with this idea of building a live set and having the live set be what produces the tracks. And so I just every day open the live set up and have a kind of different jam with it, and maybe just record, see how that goes, experiment with that. But for this morning, I think I'm going to have another session on one of these done tracks to kind of get them into release. These tracks in here, they're kind of slightly hidden by my head, are potentially up for a release. So, I could probably put those in Sketchbook for now, but I think I'm just going to leave them there. So the one I'm going to work on this morning is called Harmony, and this is kind of like quite an ambient drum, like jungle thing. And yeah, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to listen back to it. I've already made some notes on this from a while ago, and I'm just going to work on those. So I'm going to let you guys hear it, and then I'll mute myself. So yes, this is called Harmony, and we're going to have a listen to it now. Yeah, so there we go. That is harmony. And I should have opened this before I started, but save the project now. So my hotkeys, there they are. My notes were that there's the kind of flute, there's the panpipey bits that comes in, that comes in, yeah, probably about a third of the way through, before there's a kind of breakdown, and the panpipes that I think I just jammed some kind of panpipe stuff over the top of it, and it kind of does this. There's some weird notes in there that I'm not really feeling. So I am going to get rid of those, or just sort that out, and then I think I'm just going to try a mix of it, because I think I had the realization recently that, you know, I take songs so far, and then the same thing always happens. And I think this is why it's important to be mindful at every stage in working on a piece of music like this, at a computer, on your own, is that is being mindful of everything that happens along the way, and kind of and letting that inform how you go through it next time, because it really is just kind of a feedback loop, and you don't get all the information necessary to improve your process until you've completed it. You have to finish music, and you have to put it out there, and you have to let other people hear it, before you get that final bit of feedback. And so this part of the process, where I get to the point where I think it's finished, it feels like it's nearing the end, but I'm not sure. I can't, the same thing always happens. I kind of like I slowly lose interest in it, and I slowly become I'm slowly just become more bored with it, really, or kind of listen to it more, and then don't really know what it needs. So it feels like that is a good time to mix it, and to have a go at mixing it, and to try and like just zero everything, zero the desk, and have a mix of it. So that is what I'm going to do today, or at least get that started. And that really was it at this point. So, right, I'm going to do what I do every time. Let's just check it's all loaded up. It feels like it'd be a good time to just give my patrons a shout. Oh, that is Reactor, I think. The steam pipe. It's very good. What a good name for it. It really does sound like that. Just to thank my patrons who support in the channel. I have got a list of names, but it's on my Google Docs. I'll show that next time. Yeah, so thank you to everyone supporting me on there. Had a really good weekend with a set on the Ned Rushmore Kicks and Friends online micro festival. I think that's what he calls it, which went out on Saturday and is live on his channel now. So that was really excellent, and that was with his patrons, including his first ever patron. So, and he's been making content for 7 years now, something he said, or maybe longer than that. Yeah, maybe it is longer than that. That's when I found him 7 years ago. And so, yeah, we had a kind of Zoom party around it, and it was really good fun, and it went on until like 4 o'clock in the morning. But they're a really great crew. Yeah, so Patreon's a great thing, and it kind of facilitates this. You can build, allows people to have a community around the channel, and Discord is pretty good as well, and something that I will be setting up. But yeah, if you're interested in supporting me or anything, it's all in the description. Even a subscriptions to the channel really helps. Cool. Okay, so that aside, let me save a version. So it's been like over a month since I actually did anything on this track. But it's quite long, and it's a bit of an odyssey. And those tracks are even harder to work on because they're so long, and you kind of really do lose your concentration with it. And really, when you think about people writing symphonies or something like that, it must have just been a real test of endurance. It must be a real test of endurance to do that. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to do the things. There's this. It's here probably. It's this one. It's like Dorian. Fuck 'em. Okay, leave that as it is. That was it though. Ah. Nice. I'm not getting into this, going over doing tests. That's good enough. I can always get rid of it if I really hate it later. Okay. In the very end, break just carries on too long. What is that here? In fact, I'm not going to worry about that now. I'm going to do that as a bit of audio, just cut it off. So, I was teaching yesterday and we were doing a mix. And I was, that's really great. If you can ever like have students or teach anyone, you kind of learn so much. It's a way of it's a beneficial process for both parties, teacher and student. So, the thing I like to do at this point is get organised, first of all. So we've got these National Film Board of Canada. These are providing like the... It's like an Indian chant. It's like it was from a documentary about these two old men living in Alaska, or Canada, sorry. Yeah, somewhere in like the Canadian territories, and just about one was Native American descent, and one was a kind of Western or also like a settler, European settler of European descent, and how they just had this friendship and were both, I don't know, kind of a documentary on growing old, I suppose, and like, you know, nearing the end of their lives. But one was still working and prospecting. He was the European was a prospector, still going out and blowing up mountains every day, and he must have been in his 80s or something. And then the other one was a Native American descendant, or Native Canadian, and yeah, he had this huge family and loads of grandchildren and stuff, and just kind of, yeah, a look at their lives. Anyway, so I sampled that quite heavily, and it's got some really good, like incidental music. Stuff like that's wicked, really. Alright. So yeah, I like to bounce down everything that's not audio. That's, first of all, let's get rid of all this stuff because it takes longer to flatten if you've got clips, because it flattens all the clips as well. uh, 21 channels, pretty good really, isn't it? I mean, to me, when listening back to that, it sounds like there's more. Yep. Right, so there. See if we can do this in one go. Flatten you. Cool. Great. Might take a moment. Just checking in on the comments. Morning, Jar Son. Hey, Baldwin. I wonder where you are, mate. Are you in America? We'll have to catch up outside of. Baldwin is a patron. Thank you, Baldwin. And yeah. Yeah, Jarson, it was really good fun. It went on far too late. But I suppose our friends in America are. Hey AJ, how you doing? Yeah, so in America people were really just getting started as we were all ready to go to bed. It's good. I was kind of in awe of the power of the internet. And that's when it feels like it's a really great thing, that you can do these things and it's a really powerful thing. And the set is up on Ned's channel, and I might see if he'll let me post a video on mine as well, or if he minds me doing that. I'm sure he won't. Yeah, Soul Pride is wicked, hey. Just so pingy, works so well with like an 808 bass line. Yeah, cool. Right. So let's pull all. I don't. What are these bits? Are these just vocals? Oh, that's nice. Twinks. There's probably more flutes. Hey, you. You Bempty, welcome. I wonder where you must be then. Are you... It's mad really. It's mad that they're like... It's great. Yeah, thanks very much. You're most welcome. Yeah, it was really good to kind of chat with all of Ned's patrons as well, and there's some really interesting people in his community. Vancouver. Oh, sick, yeah. Well, there we go. We've got like, yeah, these. Do you know National Film Boards of Canada then? That's where a lot of these samples are taken from. They're online documentaries. But yeah, I'll let you get to bed, man, anyway, if you... Yeah, cool, sick. Night. So that's like an operator op lead. I'm just going to call that. That's a nice sound, that flute lead. So I just kind of jammed all that stuff over and then did tidy it up. I'm not that good a pianist on like one of those MIDI plastic keyboards. But one thing like I'm really into is like kind of gradations of colour, and you know, like parts kind of fading in and blending in and kind of drawing you into this sonic world. And that chord progression kind of coming in and unifying everything, and before the harmony moment where the old man says harmony. Harmony, 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 harmony. There's a track by Mystic Moods called Music is the Basis for All Life, which is like a really cool ambient jungle tune that like has been a big influence on my sound. Mystic Moods, yeah, music is the basis for all life. So yeah, just tidying things up. Making the set all good, making it easy to see everything when I'm mixing, and then doing some kind of rough. So really, we've just got these two breaks here, and then just an 808. You know, I've kept it like nothing fancy particularly. So I was chatting to a patron about, like, he was talking about kind of like 808s and making them sound good and stuff, and really I think they just need to be the most prominent thing in the mix, really. There's certain, because essentially they're a sine wave. If you do anything too much to them, it breaks the sound up and it distorts it. It doesn't end up sound, you know. So I really think it's kind of a volume thing, and adding a bit of reverb, you know, to the top of it can work wonders. So next up is this, I think it's probably this organ chords that comes in. So I kind of just like to organise things like, if you've ever recorded in a studio, things are kind of ordered in importance or prominence in the track. As they appear. So there's a lot of effects in this. And then we've got these kind of leads. There's a tiny break that kind of comes in and does some stuff. So we've got the breaks there. Bass, texture, not texture. There's all these flutes and stuff. There's like the flute lead, this lead, that lead. There's all these leads feel like they should come next. Yeah. All right. And then we've just essentially got millions of effects. Millions of effects and one shots, really, they are. Harmony. I'm not going to put you there because you're quite important. So we've got all these like fluty bits, and they actually feel like they're probably should go live with the chords, the organ chords. They kind of come in first, don't they? So flute loops. So, okay, feels like that's fine. That's organised enough. Save that. Just going to colour things up a bit. Sick. Like, I used to spend longer doing stuff like this, but really you just want to get it in a nice, some semblance of order. I'm not going to worry too much about the stuff on the return channels at the moment. This is kind of what I like to do next. So I've got everything here. I'm going to zero this. So double click to zero everything. Hide the returns. I'm going to turn them all off now. Let's see if we can get this vibe in. Turn everything on the master off. I've got, yeah, that's fine. I'm going to keep that on just in case anything untowards happens with the gain. So nothing's grouped at this point, which is great. Let's turn all those off. There's some panning. I'm not going to worry about that. That can stay as it is. And then this can be quite. Let's do this right. So this is why part of the reason why I bounce everything out like I do and keep this regular diary of it is that when I'm mixing, it's really useful to kind of just have this. Everything seems to have quite a new agey feel from at the moment from this world of. I kind of like that. Okay, so. And we're going to call this is going to be our reference. So I'd just like to have this as a kind of, not as a reference, like, it's quite useful to see where the loudest part might be. So probably here, we could probably mix around this part and then around these parts where the sausage looks most fat. I'm going to set key commands. I like to do / to solo, turn off this, then I can solo it. And I like to set the outs. No. I like to set this to bypass the master bus, so it comes out of its own. Doesn't go through any master processing. So we've got that on our channel there. We can see. And that's just useful for me kind of seeing if I've improved things or if they sounded better just as they were, and also to see where the loudest points are. So that's the original mix. That's the last mix I did. Okay, so next I'm looking to do a bit of gain staging. So that's just making sure all the levels are healthy pre-fader. So the 808 is quite pokey there. But I'll probably leave that as it is. So just checking those organ chords because they get quite loud, don't they? So maybe. I might pull the 808 down a bit. So I use utility for adjusting the gain really. So just want the RMS floating around -18. That's the solid grey. it's greyed out when it's not bright green. Yeah, that's fine. Those breaks are fine. Because something like this is quite dynamic. There's a lot of loud and quiet parts. Then you might struggle to get things like really nice and. I think that's one thing that's kind of. It's a bit confusing when you're starting out. Is that everyone's told about loudness and compression and making things really loud and transients and all this stuff. But like good music is dynamic. It's got there's contrast between the loud and the quiet. And if you're working with something like classical music or concert music and you're recording concert musicians, like there's no real there's no heavy limiting on stuff like that because there is such dynamic, because the musicians control the dynamic between the loud and the quiet. Dynamism is what makes compelling music for the most part, really. And I think that's not really. That was certainly a point that I had to learn myself. In terms of mixing, you know this stuff inherently, but it doesn't always make sense in the DAW, or you don't know how that applies to actually using it in a musical context. You're just out there to make things as loud as possible, regardless of the kind of the dynamism in the track. What else have we got going on at this point? So the wind is pretty quiet. We've got all these effects on there, haven't we? I might just boost this a bit. Yeah, see, it's a very quiet set. You can do this in the clip as well. You can go in and notch that up, but it's easier to see actually this way. So we can put it right up like that. It's fine. It's not going to do any 18 dB. It's clipping now, but that's fine because it won't be that loud. It just won't be that full. Okay, and then I might let's go from the start because there's quite a lot of bits of this. See what these flutes are like. That's fine. That's fine. There's twinks too coming in. That's fine. I tend to kind of build this into my process now. If I'm sampling things, I'm looking to get things at kind of -18 just as a healthy level, or louder because it's kind of easier to see things then. So textures is pretty quiet. Let's bump that up a bit. But you can see that here, you can see there's barely anything there in the thing. Pumping the gain up 20. But you see it's quite dynamic, the difference between the peaks and the RMS, and over time is going, there's a lot of movement in on the fader. And we've also got this OP lead. So gain staging at this point, so that's coming in. I had panned that, but yeah, see that's quite quiet. Pull that in. Bump. You can even see how much you need to boost it, really, like six. You can see there it goes. So gain staging at the moment. I think this is an important part of the process because if you're having to use the fader to adjust all the gain, like if you're working around here, if you're finding things are really loud, like they're louder than -18, then you'll have to keep, like in a mix, you'd have to keep the fader here, and of course you have less resolution. So the difference or the distance between like a 6 dB jump gets smaller. Whereas here you've got this fine resolution, which is one reason for kind of having things at a healthy level throughout the mix. The second is that like plugins in the digital domain work sweetest at minus 18. They're kind of calibrated to receive the incoming signal at minus 18 dB RMS, which is the solid line here, the grey, solid grey. That's at RMS level. All right, that's probably good enough for now. Like, so there's a lot of changes in this track, and like with a mix, I think what I'd do is literally just find the loudest point, get some kind of balance set up, and then just do multiple passes of the track until everything was in. Now, what have we got going on here? We've got it's like a hall. I don't even know if anything's going to that. It is. Large room. Gate drum room. I like to add all my reverbs on the send. That's largely, or I have them here so that they're you can send back like portions of the sound to the send. It's a nice way of adding. It's the way to add cohesion to your mix and to make these kind of electronic elements sound like they occupy real space. Not always necessary, you know. There is no. I think this was another thing I was saying teaching last night was that there's no set process. It's similar, but like it changes from mix to mix because you're dealing with different sonic content every time. Different frequencies. It's just that they're a kind of and it is really a scientific process. So there we go. So a lot of time is spent not even hearing anything. Maybe the pride is a bit pokey. Cool. So I'm going to set things around that because that is like I like to think of the kind of key elements of the track at any one point, and that's the break and the bass. Really, they should be loudest. So I'm going to want to turn things up for me. So my volume's going to go all over the place, and it might appear really quiet for you guys because especially when I'm balancing the bass and stuff, I like things to be quite loud because you perceive the extremes of the frequency spectrum. You perceive them better. Our ears perceive them more clearly when they're louder. That might just sound, when I first heard that, it was like, well, yeah, of course. But it's actually that when things are quieter, your ear is more easily able to pick out the mid-range of the frequency spectrum. And I guess this is an evolution thing, that we're hearing human voices and we can hear, and they kind of sit in the mid-range when it's like when you can hear people when they're whispering. And why, you know, people like listening to music loud because you can hear feel the bass more, and you can hear the highs more clearly. Which is why sometimes if you've done a mix and you hear it on like a club sound system, like the hi-hats make your ears bleed because you've not kind of tested at a range of volume. So I like to kind of start loud, you know. that sounds good to me. I've got the tiny thing going on. This was another revelation I had, was like mixing jungle, right? The bass is the loudest thing. Just make sure the bass is louder than everything else. And, or within reason, you know, if you want the bass to sound louder, turn it up. Like, look to volume first, look to balance first before you start pulling in plugins and EQ and anything really. Look to the faders, So this is just the texture thing. I just want the, I don't want the like the bass. Just want the top end of it. Maybe even. Just like the very top. Like that. Is that wind? Oh, that's an effect. That's loads of effects, isn't it? I'm going to bounce that down because it ticks off a bit of the CPU. So yeah, we're just getting a balance going here and bringing in the elements together. This is a really fun part of the process, actually. And I think it often demonstrates, like, it's really good to do this because you like bringing in the key elements one by one. You kind of realise that, like, oh, maybe I didn't need 500 channels of stuff, you know. maybe one kick drum and one bass sound was enough. Cool, flatten that. Yeah, see, that's actually quite loud, isn't it? That's fine. So now, yeah, I realise I'm reaching for EQs and stuff like that. What else is going on at this point? Maybe take it from the start now. I do want some more bits where everything is in at once. So let's go from here. Okay. Now just bringing in other elements. Now bringing in the sends, the return tracks. Just so you can hear it. So one thing you can do, you can sidechain reverbs. Let's do it to the 808 actually. Just a bit of movement. Just a touch. I think, like, yeah, this is another thing I was saying, teaching, was that, like, I think people think that mixing is going to be this big, there's these big, obvious things that happen. And actually it's kind of a series of many small kind of movements across all of the channels. And also that, even saying that, like, you can do too little of that, and like there's a kind of like mix. It's kind of a process that requires a bit of bravery, really, and practice like anything else. You have to be bold. So let's find a bit. We're getting all these bits coming in here, aren't we? Let's see if we can get, like, maybe here we've got some other stuff coming in. Let's. Computer's feels a bit sticky this morning, not sure. I like drum bus on 808s for the transient. Yeah, you can hear that, can't you? So just... Yeah, there's the 808 there. Just adds real nice. Let's go from here, shall we? What's coming in there? Birds. Cool, so this is already sounding pretty nice to me, just like balance. They just need to be very low. Let's freeze that. Freeze the track. So the intention is that I will get a mix out of here before I finish the session, so that I've got something to listen back to. So we need to press on really. Or maybe I'll leave it, maybe I'll come back into it and there we go. Cool. Yeah, I like that more. Huh. Have we got all the channels in now? Yeah. There we have. Oh, cool. Comes over a new reverb. Bit of an outro happens there. Where's that diva? I don't want that diva coming in there, that loss. just looking at how it compares to the reference. So that's our reference track. Yeah, I think there's like a better balance between the bass and the drums going on. That's normally the kind of thing I notice when, things tend to have a bit more space, and there's not kind of any wonky moments where something's really loud. Let's just give it a listen from the top. Right, but as I do that, I'm going to do a quick like I have a master preset. I have a mastering rack that I just use. That's tends to be my go-to. Go-to plugins. They'll all open at once, but see if we can do a quick mastering thing here. All right, so I have a utility. I tend to use the bass mono. It's already on there anyway, so I'll just leave it there. An EQ, glue compressor, decapitator and saturation knob by Softube. I often use the decapitator. So let's Jarsan, how's it going? Yeah, good. I'm glad this. There's a lot of kind of working on tunes earlier on in the process, and I think it's good to kind of demonstrate what happens as we go through the mix. Get rid of myself. So I have like mid-side set up. So you can hear that's the side content. Doesn't really make sense to like solo stuff when you're doing anything like this, so But yeah, we'll take that off. Tend to do just like a very tiny smile thing. I like to kind of time the compressors with the rhythm of the track, really, and the. Looking for about 3 dB of gain or some reduction. And then a second compressor just to catch any other peaks. So the aim is you kind of like slowly you add these things by degrees rather than kind of one thing doing heavy-handed stuff. So that's with the chain on. That's without. So a slight gain increase, but like fractional 0.1 dB or something like that. Okay, decapitator next. I'm going to put the mix to 0, the dry wet, and I usually go V. Something like that. I won't even bother with saturation this time, so let's so I'll turn things down now. Just looking for, there we go. Stuff always sounds better with like less heavy gain reduction going on. So if you can kind of do it by degrees across devices, I find it sounds more pleasing. And that's perfectly loud enough. Because I was listening to like some Radiohead albums recently, and just like how lovely they sound, mix wise, and nothing. I think it's because it's good musicians, good microphones, good takes, with not too much with the focus being on creative use of effects to come up with the sounds and stuff, and then everything else kind of nothing too heavy handed, or it's a balance is the key with all this stuff. So just I'll give it a pass and then bounce it out, I think. All right, I'm happy with that. Save that. Let's export. .3. Oh yeah, let's just clean that up, shall we? Cool. All right, yeah, that's good. 4.3. Is that allowed? Probably one, isn't it? Oh, it doesn't matter if we miss it off a bit. I'm going to just do an MP3. That will be good enough. There we go. Cool. All right, I can export that now. I'm definitely putting that in done. And it's got the date, MP3. Cool. Let's update my Trello board. Did you add an item? 2203 28. That. And it's diaried it on for next week anyway, automatically. So I'm not going to attach the things. I'm not going to attach the file because I don't have Trello Premium now. That's fine though. That's done there. Sweet, and I think I've just got to work through the next mixes of the. I think that's almost everything now. Got my journal here, making notes of them. All right, and maybe give the other ones a listen back and work on those, ignoring the deadlines because I've just moved them. So maybe I should have waited to do that. But yeah, there we go. I'm going to call it a day there. Thanks everyone who tuned in. Jarson, Baldwin, Ajay, Ubempty, Jarson, again. Yeah, okay, well, that was going through a mix. Mix done probably in less, in an hour and a half. It's just exporting now, and then probably less than an hour. A mix of that. But there wasn't too much heavy processing going on, and really it's just about balancing all the elements. That is the most important thing. If you focus on one thing, if you just use one tool, use the volume faders, and that's really all there is to mixing. I think it's the relationship between, it's how loud things are in a stereo field. Like it's like placing objects in a room, and like making them closer to you or further away, using effects like there's really only so many variables. There's gain, pitch, and time. That's all you can play with in the audio realm. That's all and that's the only variables that you can mess with with sound. So when things seem a bit complicated and everything, just come back to that principle that there's only those three qualities to a noise. Of course, there's there's shades of meaning within that, and like how spectral spectral stuff where things are composed of many different harmonic frequencies. Like complicated sounds have much more harmonics going on and all that kind of stuff. But essentially, that's what's happening. Like gain, time, pitch. Cool. All right. Well, I think I'm going to call that there. So, yeah, thanks very much for tuning in. I hope you got something from watching me do this mix, and I'll be mixing more of the 4 tracks that I've worked on quite a lot on stream. Yeah. All right. Well, have a good day, and I'll see you